Hi, Joe Carrig with the Carrig Real Estate Team, and this is your San Ramon Valley neighborhood update for the week of June 21st. Let's get right into the graphs because I get a lot of questions on where we really think the market's going. And I'll be honest with you, all you have to look, and they want to know, is this a boom or bust? All you have to really look at is Wall Street, and that will give you some pretty clear answers. So let's take a look. First off, in San Ramon, you can see that here's the good part about it because people always ask me, they go, Joe, they're talking about record sales, but yet they're talking about the record number of sales, but yet they're talking about there's no inventory. How do those two even go along? Well, what's happening is homes are selling and the supply and demand is way out of whack, but there's enough infill coming back into the market. One of the reasons we're so short on homes is obviously low interest rates, people moving out of, the cities into the single family homes. But the main cause of it is the fact that during the last 14 years, the builders normally build about 1.8 million homes a year, and they've been building like 1.2 to 1.3, literally over 400,000 less homes than they would normally build per year the last 14 years. So in the last 14 years, they are 5.6 million homes short of what normally would have been built the last 14 years. And they say we're basically 3 to 4 million homes short of what we really need to kind of level this market out. And they said that the builders would have to build 2 million homes a year for the next 10 years after they've just been building, 1.2 to 1.3. So we are way behind the eight ball as far as new construction. And especially in the San Ramon Valley, there just isn't a lot of land anymore. At least what we have is, because you can go to Texas and you can go to Nevada and you can go to Idaho, and you have all these new people coming in. And in those areas, unlike our areas, no one's moving out. So you have all these new buyers, but you don't have a lot of sellers. But the good part is they do have land. And if you've been to Texas and Idaho or Nevada, I mean, my God, they are just like building like crazy. They can't find the workers. They can't get the supplies. They can't get the lumber. They can't keep up. But at least they have some land to build, and they don't have the restrictions that we do here. So there's a lot of different causes that we're going to go through in a future video, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. But at the same point, we do have, when you look at the San Ramon market graph, you can see normally in a normal market, these numbers are inverted, where you have probably twice as many active properties as you have pending properties. That's a normal market. Well, now you have basically twice as many pendings as you do active. So it's completely inverted. But the one good part when you look at it is the active, the backfill, even though it's a real seller's market, the backfill is keeping up. The active listings are keeping up. Now, for a long time in the last year, it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But now at least we see it keeping up a little bit, which hopefully that's a good sign and it will continue. Same thing in Danville. When you look at the Danville market, very similar. Pending properties are staying about the same. Active properties are staying about the same. Blackhawk market, pending properties up, but again, active properties up. So again, keeping up with, the active properties are keeping up with the pendings. Same thing in Alamo. Active properties are keeping up with the pendings. Now you see this is a little bit more of an even market, which again, the average price in Alamo is $2.5 to $3 million, but that is still a seller's market when it looks like that. A true buyer's market, or a true even just normal market, not a buyer's market, there'd be twice as many actives as they are pendings. And you can see Dublin, pendings up a little bit, but again, the active properties are keeping pace. But here is the scary part. I've been doing these for a year now and giving you guys these graphs and the stats over a year since we first went into quarantine, March of 2020. And for the first time ever, we've been pushing it, but the first time ever, when you look at these numbers, sold the list price, every single city is over 110% of asking. And that's been going on for 4 months now. So that means if a home's a million, and when you go on for 4 months, that's 3 cycles. So that's like a 30% increase in the last 4 months. So if you have $1.5 million home and it basically sells over a 4 week period for 10% over asking, it's going to sell for $1,650,000. Now the next month, if it sells for 10% more, it's going to sell for over $1,800,000. And then the next month, it's going to sell for $2 million. And that's what we've seen the last 4 months. $1.5 million homes selling for $2 million, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is the first time we've seen that all 5 cities that I keep you guys up with the graphs have all been over 110%, which is average. Things are selling for over 10% of what they're asking for, and that's the average. So you have and most of these homes are obviously selling the first week that they're on the market. Now, when you see homes on the market for 5 to 7 days, understand that those homes are basically selling right away. People go, well, they're on the market for 5 or 7 days. Well, we normally put a home on the market Wednesday, keep it on for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, look at offers Tuesday or Wednesday, and there you go, 5 to 7 days. But really what they're doing is they're selling with multiple offers right away. Now, when I saw this, I sat there and said, okay, how far do we have to go back before these numbers were around 100% of asking, where things were selling for full price but not over? Well, all the way back 6 months to December and January, when things were 99, 102%, because obviously I keep track and I went back. So we got to go back 6 or 7 months to get back to the things where things were averaging selling at full price. So, one of the things that we're going to go through is in a couple weeks, I'm going to give you guys a video. And so make sure that you subscribe to this video so you can be alerted when I give you this update I'm going to give you. And make sure, we'd love it if you hit the like button and hit the bell to be notified of upcoming videos, because you're not going to want to miss this one, because what I do is I answer all the questions that I'm getting the most. The real estate market, boom or bust. Are the increasing real estate practices creating a bubble? Is this an inventory issue or a demand issue or both? And how do we get to this point? Where do we go from here? Do you know that I'm going to show you guys that where we're at right now started by some decisions the government made in 1994, 27 years ago, got us kind of to this point. And I'm going to map it out and show you guys. And can interest rates continue at historic lows with inflationary concerns? That's the other thing we're dealing with. It's kind of like when you get the unemployment numbers and none of the employers can get help, but yet the unemployment numbers go up. This is the same type of thing. How can we have such inflation and everything you buy is more, but interest rates staying low? So we'll talk about that. And why aren't builders building more homes? And what question should I ask my CPA concerning the proposed increase in real estate taxes? Capital gains, getting rid of the 1031 exchanges that's been proposed. And should I sell now? And it might be an easy. We meet with people sometime and they sit there and they go, geez, Joe, should I sell? And I go, well, that depends. What are your plans? And they go, well, I don't know. The prices are just high. I thought I'd sell. And that's not a good strategy. A good strategy is sitting there going, okay, if I did sell, what would I do now at this point? So one of the things that, when we talk about is this market can continue like it is. And I think it is. And sometimes all you have to do is look at people that are a lot smarter or a lot more on the inside than I am. And that's Wall Street, because Wall Street in a lot of cases dictates the market. And there's a couple interesting things that have recently happened. If you've heard of Blackstone, at one point, Blackstone, because back in the REO days, matter of fact, we were really upset when we were bank-owned agents, which is real estate-owned, bank-owned, REO agents, is we would get assignments and we get 5 listings here and 5 listings there. Then all of a sudden, like Blackstone and Rockpoint and some of these hedge funds started coming in and buying thousands of homes at a time from the banks, because the banks literally couldn't get rid of them fast enough. So they ended up, packaging them and selling them, to these hedge funds. Blackstone at one point owned 80,000 homes. Now, obviously, in 2019, they just sold the last of those 80,000 homes. And they probably thought, well, geez, we did pretty good, for those 10, 12 years. So it's time to get out of the market. Well, just recently, they bought 17,000 homes for $6 billion, paid a premium from Home Partners of America. So it tells you, even after they just sold 80,000 homes, thinking that the market was maybe going to slow down, they're diving back into the market to the tune of $6 billion to buy more real estate. There's another thing too, is Rockpoint is another hedge fund, and they just raised through two offerings $5.8 billion to go out there and buy real estate. And so one thing about of some of these hedge funds, I'm not an expert at it and I don't know, but one of the things that I did read is in a lot of these hedge funds, when you invest money, if they don't buy something with it in 18 months, they have to give the money back. So they're in a big push to go out and buy real estate. Billions of dollars have been invested in these hedge funds to go buy real estate. Well, the problem is they can't buy 5,000 homes at a time from the banks anymore because the banks, there's no foreclosures out there. So what they're literally doing, and I've heard two cases of this, one in Idaho and one in Houston, that they have gone on and bought entire tracts, like 400 to 500 homes from builders before the homes were built, at a 20 to 40% premium from the builders. So the entire neighborhood is going to be rentals. The tough part about that is it's hard enough for, we have such a demand for housing, and people always go, how do we get so far behind? Now, one of the things this video I'm going to share with you in a couple of weeks, so you want to make sure you subscribe, is going to talk about all the different reasons. But I can tell you one of the main reasons is the builders from the last 14 years, where they were normally building 2 million homes a year, were only building 1.2 to 1.3, or they were building, 1.8 million homes a year is what they were supposedly building, and what they had from going all the way back before 2008. And then they, per year, were building 400 and some odd thousand homes short. So over 14 years, there's 5.6 million homes that weren't built that would have normally have been built. And no surprise, they say we're about 4 million homes short to take care of the demand out there. And so that's one of the big things. And, it's just difficult because the builders would literally have to build 2 million homes a year. They have to go from 1.2 to 3 to 2 million homes a year, almost double, for the next 10 years to catch up. Well, I'll be honest with you, in this area, there's obviously very little land that you can build. And we're lucky that we still have a lot of people getting out of California, going to Idaho, Texas, Nevada. So like we showed you in the graphs, we're getting more homes on the market, and at least it's still a seller's market, but it's somewhat keeping up with the pendings. But you go to Idaho and Nevada and Texas, and there's such a flood of buyers going in there, but no one's moving out of those areas. Where do you go from there? But what they do have is they have land. And if you've traveled to Idaho or Texas and Reno, there's just one neighborhood after another being built. But these builders, they can't get help, they can't get lumber, they can't get supplies. So these are all things that we're going to talk about in a couple weeks. So again, one thing to remember, though, is people go, oh, geez, big bad Wall Street. And matter of fact, a couple of the tax situations they've talked about is getting rid of 1031 exchanges and getting rid of long-term capital gains, cut back on these, fat cats that own all this real estate. One thing to remember, now, obviously, these are going to change as they're pumping in billions of dollars into the real estate market. But right now, these Wall Street and hedge funds only own 2% of the rental homes out there. 85% of the ownership of rental homes are people that own less than 10 rental homes. So basically, middle America, it's basically the small investor. So when the government starts coming in and says, hey, we're going to double capital gains, they're not really hurting the hedge fund that much. They're hurting, basically America, these small investors that own these properties. So hopefully, maybe some of the small investors will let go of their properties because of future potential, tax changes, and might free up the inventory a little bit. Plus, the government hasn't helped because putting a freeze on foreclosures, the thing is they're going, okay, we can't foreclose because of COVID. Well, you know what? There was a few 100,000 homes being foreclosed upon in 2018, 2019 before COVID. So there's a couple 100,000 homes a year that aren't also coming on the market. So again, I don't want to basically steal my thunder in the next couple weeks that I'm going to do, but make sure you subscribe. And if you have any questions as far as the real estate market, what you should do with your home, we just had a meeting tonight with someone where, again, we had that conversation. Well, geez, the market's great. We're thinking about selling. Well, my first question is, okay, if you sold, what would you do? And because that's the most important thing, you have to have a plan. Because if the market continues strong, you don't want to sell and just put your money in a mattress. Certainly, you can sell and take your time buying, but you should get back into the market at some point, in the near future. So if you have any questions at all, every real estate market's a little bit different. Give me a call. Again, Joe Carrig, 925-487-6838, or joe@carrigteam.com. Drop me an email, or visit our website at www.carrigteam.com. Again, Joe Carrig, the Carrig Real Estate Team, 925-487-6838. As always, may God bless you. May God bless your family. And may God bless as we come up to our 4th of July holiday, which is one of my favorite holidays of the year because it basically celebrates our independence, our freedoms that we have. May God bless the United States of America. We'll see you in a couple weeks, and make sure you subscribe.